I think it's really good for NA if young rookies are doing well, because this just shows up what you're missing out on potential like NACL players or Tier 2 players.
In almost every sense of the word, LCS Team Disguised are an anomaly. They're a guest team, not a franchise team. They live and practice in an apartment together rather than some fancy facility. And instead of being owned by some business figurehead, they're owned by a streamer who used to wear a bread slice on his face.
We always refer to Toast as boss man, because he is the boss man. He's not shy about his opinions of what's going on.
If we lose, I'm quitting League of Legends esports forever.
But Disguised's other transgression is one that seems eternal, something that the community, for better or worse, is always latching onto. They're not good. Consistently being power ranked at or near the bottom of the league going into a given season, Disguised have been the floor of the league since they debuted.
I mean, I was a flip between TL and Cloud9, but I'm doing Team Liquid, Cloud9, Shopify, then Lion, FlyQuest, Sentinels, Dignitas, and DSG.
So when the 2026 LCS season begins, DSG find themselves in a familiar place. At the base of a mountain, staring up at 7 other teams that are supposed to be better than them. Starting the season with visa issues, almost all new players, and the shadow of doubt looming over them, Disguised seems doomed to fail. But with 2 talented rookies hailing from opposite sides of the development ecosystem, there's promise in this roster, if not a lot of faith in the untested side. So, can 2 rookies save the worst team in the LCS? Well, they might have already. To understand Disguised in 2026, we need to look back at how DSG came to be at all. As it turns out, one fateful tweet on October 30th, 2022 would trigger a chain of events that leads us to current day League of Legends. As well-known streamer Jeremy Disguised Toast Wang tweets, "Yo, who's the best available unsigned pro Valorant player at the moment? Thinking of starting a team." That shot into the void would lead to the first DSG esports team, and less than 8 months later, a familiar looking message would hit the timeline on May 22nd, 2023, leading to Disguised's NACL roster of FakeGod, Tomio, Young, Meech, and Zazel, signaling their entry into competitive League of Legends. A roster that would end up winning the 2023 NACL Summer Playoffs and sending 2 of their players to the then new Shopify Rebellion. Unfortunately, the team would not see continued success in Tier 2, but would get another break in 2025 when the LCS introduced the guest slot, a qualifier system which gave teams a chance to play in the big leagues, something that the LCS hadn't had in more than a decade. Back in the old days, the bottom teams would play the top qualified teams that came through the circuit in the promotion relegation tournament, with the stakes being a ticket to the LCS. Once the league franchised, the old tagline of 5 guys and a dream faded into obscurity, as the league became a closed system for the teams that had bought in. The new guest slot gave that path back, however narrow it might be, reigniting the idea that 5 players that were good enough could go from nothing to something. Disguised, however, were invited to the league in 2025 to fill that slot, as the qualifying infrastructure wasn't in place yet, something that lent more doubt to the team that found themselves now among North America's biggest names. After a string of last or near last place finishes that included both mid-season roster and coaching changes, DSG would end 2025 having to actually play for their spot back into the LCS, just as the system intended, which they successfully defended, taking out Luminosity Gaming 3-1 in the final to prove that they weren't just a flash in the pan invite, but a team deserving of that final slot. That brings us back to 2026, where DSG finds that they have to rebuild basically their entire roster thanks to the newest team in the LCS, Sentinels.
Once I knew that it wasn't going to be feasible to attain our 2025 roster anymore, we kind of wanted to blow it all up.
It turns out that while the guest slot provides a way for fresh teams to play at the highest level, a callback to the halcyon days of League of Legends esports that saw teams like the original Cloud9 turn into household champions, it also creates instability that can be unattractive to prospective players. Even if Disguised defied the odds and say became world champions, they'd still have to play for their LCS slot at the end of the season. This led jungler Exy to leave for his ex-team Dignitas, while Darkwings, Rahel, and Huhi were all snatched up by Sentinels, leaving Castle as the only remaining piece. To make matters worse, Kryra, the rookie jungler that Disguised had picked as their first new player for the team, ran into visa issues, meaning that DSG came into week 1 not only a unanimous 8th in the dive power rankings, but without the player they built their team around. So with veteran LLA support Lions, LCK challenger mid Cormy, DSG's only veteran Castle, rookie bot laner Sajed, and substitute jungler Kisno, they walk into their first series in the LCS with most of their players having never played on this stage before. And who are they playing? Well, because the LCS scriptwriters are really good at their job, they're obviously playing the team that took all their players, Sentinels. Against all odds, Disguise managed to upset Sentinels and win their first series on the LCS stage.
But DSG, they took down the Nexus turrets. DSG, they didn't need those 3 out of 5 members. They just needed this one shot.
With former most valuable prospect Sajed having more than his fair share of standout moments. Which leads us to more formally introduce the 2 freshest players that DSG have brought in. NA rookies Sajed and Kryra. Hailing from opposite ends of the competitive landscape, and I don't just mean the USA and French Canada, come 2 players looking to prove themselves. Sajed is a former Fly Challengers AD, the same team that Marsu was on before he won the Most Valuable Prospect Award, joined the main team and won 2 championships. After his time on Fly, Sajed joined Collegiate Giants Maryville, arguably the most robust Tier 2 organization in the country, where he experienced the daily routines of a competitive league player, a system that honed him for his eventual LCS debut. Kryra, on the other hand, is a long-time challenger player that has been a top-ranked ladder player since he was 15. While Sajed is eerily like Marsu in terms of his team fighting mechanics, consistently finding ways to dance around his opponents and maximize damage. Kryra, on the other hand, I don't know what else to say. Kryra just sends it.
But they are split up. Who are they going to engage on? Lion does get that big hook on a Berserker, but he cleanses away on a Kryra, trying to get it. He does slay the dragon, flashes back in, knocks up Berserker, now dashes out to the Braum. Well played by Kryra.
So 2 rookies, one from one of the most prestigious amateur programs and another from Tier 2 and the wilds of NA solo queue, converge on a team that is unlike any other. Unfortunately, once week 2 rolls around, Kryra is still not on US soil, and so DSG go again, this time against the LCS's other rookie-laden team, FlyQuest. Even after a 2-1 loss, DSG with a substitute jungler are starting to instill some belief into the collective consciousness, which is made even more impressive by the fact that Kizno barely scrimmed with the team at all, as they still preferred to mostly practice with Kryra ahead of his debut. Mercifully, by week 3 of lock-in, Kryra does arrive. The bad news is that his debut game is against the reigning MVP and clear best jungler in the league, Inspired. Surely, the team that everyone doubted before the season even started that had to play with a sub-jungler is going to fold against one of the top-rated teams filled to the brim with talents of recent history and the best Western player of 2025. Surely.
Call Me does have first move, but Saint is behind him, and they could try to collapse onto Call Me. They do. Forces the flash there. Inspired fighting against Kryra. Nice little use of the passive, going to be able to stay alive for now, but Inspired with the ulti is just sustaining through Kryra's damage. Kryra trying to heal up as fast as he can with this ulti, but he is going down in a hurry, barely staying alive for now. But Call Me has arrived, and he's going aggressive. He knocks down one, flashes in. That's the exclamation point on an incredible series from DSG.
Their win against preseason top 4 contenders sets them up for another day with rival organization Sentinels, and even in a close series loss, the potential of this team is showcased once again. Despite that, DSG find themselves in a spot where they can still win it all in their first split with basically a new team. But most importantly, DSG is just fun.
I think it's really good here. Nasus? I'm serious. Yeah, I'm being serious. I'm actually deadass.
In an era where esports has ballooned into something much bigger than where it began, to me, Disguise represents a modern take on the game we all fell in love with. The team continuing to invest in rookies and establish competitive rosters with a fraction of the resources makes them fun to cheer for. Players like Kryra and Sajed getting a chance to shine, being given the time and energy to bloom into the players they could be is a great thing for the region, which says nothing of the moments that Castle, Call Me, and Lions have already shown this split as well. More than that though, I think we just need a team like Disguised in the league. A team whose graphic design sense is more practical than polished. A team with only enough resources for a single coach. A team that reminds us that what we have in North America is worth getting excited about. A team that reminds me of the sport I fell in love with. A team that doesn't just make me remember the past fondly, but one that also makes me excited for its future.
It's no secret that DSG is a little bit lower on resources than everyone else, but so we've got a team house. We take our manager's car to the LCS studio. We're kind of like humble livings, but I don't think it really matters too much. I think it just matters what the people in the room are doing, and if you guys are being productive and you have goals, I don't think the resources really matter that much.